Hello, everyone. This is Calvin Russell, CEO and founder of 850 Club Credit. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today, we're going to talk to you guys about what doesn't affect your credit score. All right, let's go straight into it. As we all know, a lot of us always talk about what affects your score, and you guys kind of got like a general idea of that, right? But some people have no idea what they think may be on their credit report, but they have no idea that it doesn't affect it at all. Okay, the algorithm or the score or anything like that. So let's just go into the most common ones. Number one, if I get married, what will happen to my credit score? Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, your name might change other than that, but then they would only have proof that your name has changed if you applied for something that has to do with credit, or if you gave your information to someone and they sent that information to the credit bureaus. For example, it may not be necessarily something with credit. It may be something like, getting an apartment where they take a look at your credit report. And then, they report that to the whatever bureau they pulled that from. And then when they do a social match, it'll show the social and it now show an alias as a name. Okay. But name changes, address changes, age, race, where you live, those common things are not going to play a role inside of your score. Okay. Now, does that play a role in the marketing that you get? Oh, absolutely. Because if you live in a certain neighborhood, or if you buy certain things at a certain place, they pay attention to stuff like that. That's not by mistake that you get this stuff in the mail. However, that's more so the banks having your information, okay? And you actually web browsing and going through your phone and that type of deal. So as you're buying things through Amazon, as you're buying things on Google, as you're searching things, companies, they see that and they're advertising that. And once you start clicking on things, they may not know exactly who you are, but they can at least pinpoint an area and then kind of guess, other things like your race, like your age and things of that sort. So they'll kind of guess those other blanks, but that stuff won't affect your score in any way, shape, or form, especially if you're married. Okay. So that means that whatever debt they have, it does not matter. It does not matter. Now, let's say, for example, you become an authorized user on someone's account. As we know, the history shows up on your credit report, but a lot of people, they're not sure, what could also show up. Let me give an example. Let's say, for example, someone says, hey, I'm going to add you to my credit card. I've had my credit card for 5 years, but what they didn't tell you was 3 years ago, they had 2 late payments. So now, of course, you're going to get that 5-year history added to your credit report. You're going to have whatever that utilization percentage is. But those late payments could play a role. I've seen people get added as authorized users and recent late payments that people didn't know that showed up on their credit report. And how would they not know that? Well, one, by not asking. You obviously won't know something that you won't ask. And number two, depending on how that person looks at their credit report, some sites only go back 2 years. So not every website goes back 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, as far as seeing the history there. But usually when you go to like myfico.com, you can go back at least 2 years. But there are some sites, more than 2 years, but I won't say most sites, but there are some sites that will only show you 1 year or 2 years of payment history. But on average, you're going to see about 4 years of payment history. So if you can't see it that far back, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. That just means you just can't physically see it with your eyes. But that most definitely would affect your score, but a lot of people are not sure, of what that would be. So let's say, for example, as you're building your credit and you're going through your journey of improving your score in general, it helps to know what is going to be on there and what's not. So you are not worried about certain things. Like, yes, your job is on there, but your salary has no impact to your score. Your position may show, but that has no threshold in any way, shape, or form to affect your score in any way. Those are the most common things that usually people are typically worried about. Now, if you guys are not sure about this, or I won't say sure, but if you're not up to date on this, and then because you have recent things that change, in the credit world. Like, for example, about 5 years ago, they had it where civil judgments no longer show up on your credit report. Some of you guys don't even know what that is. That's when someone takes you to court and they sue you. Those used to show up on your credit report. And why? Because people used to have evictions. That's a civil judgment. They stayed in an apartment complex. That's part of their rental history. That will show up on their rental history report. However, the eviction itself will not show up on their credit report. If someone's suing you, that will not show up on your credit report. Now, if you got child support, obviously that will show. But if you're being sued for child support and that's a civil judgment, you went to court and it's not a collection, that's the key word. See, not everything that you owe becomes a collection. But not every collection company reports to the credit bureaus. Credit collection companies do not have to report to the credit bureaus. They do that to hope that a person is going to pay. They say, oh, you know what? If we report report this to all 3 credit bureaus, which, by the way, it costs them money to even report to the credit bureaus. Okay, that's a reporting fee. All right, and they have to pay a monthly fee for that for each bureau. Every one of them is slightly different, but they all have a similar package. And long story short, they have to pay to have it listed on the credit bureaus, which of course they would do that in hopes that you pay. Saying all of that to say, if it never turned into a collection, it will not affect your credit score in any way, shape, or form. That's why when you may say, oh, well, I know I owe such and such amount of X amount of dollars, it's not on my credit report, so I guess I don't owe it. Oh, you owe it, and you're legally liable for it. But it's not going to be on your credit report if they're not going to report that to all credit bureaus. But not every company has to do so. Most companies voluntarily do so simply because it's not just to report, it's also to have access to the database so they can do pre-screening. So when you guys get like these mail offers in the mail, this isn't by coincidence. They're doing that because of the relationship that they have with the credit bureaus. Okay, so those are the most common things that people think are going to show up on their credit report and is not. And we talked about the job, we talked about the name, we talked about the age, race, salary, all that type of stuff. All that's going to play a role, but it's not going to be on your credit score. It's not factored into the algorithm. It doesn't affect it in any way. However, it's going to obviously affect the application. If your credit score is 750, but you're making, I don't know, $10 an hour, then obviously no one's going to just give you more because your score is higher. Does that make sense? So they're still going to look at other factors. They're still going to look at DTI. So just because it's not on your credit report and it doesn't affect your score, it's still part of the application to make sure that you actually qualify for whatever you're trying to do. So make sure you understand that dynamic. So when you say, well, I thought you said that my salary wouldn't matter. No, your salary matters as far as what you're trying to get approved for, but it doesn't affect your score. Hope this is making sense as I normally try to. Okay, so if you like this video, like it. If you want to share it. And as always, be sure to subscribe as we got nothing but great content well on the way. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.